you actually got arrested for attempted murder?
Yeah.
Okay. Can you talk about that situation?
Yeah, that's the last one, the most recent situation I went through. I was part of a community organization that one of my wives is the daughter of the leader of the community. And it was just a lot of trouble back and forth. The leader gave me one of the buildings to run, and it was just a lot of chaos. The children felt they should inherit the building of their father. And I'm here like, yo, the man gave me the building to run, and he gave me other responsibilities, and it was being overridden, and it was people in the community making sure that I don't get that space in leadership. They made my task very hard, and it created a great deal of contentions and the drama between the biological family and myself. It just wound up, it started to escalate so much that in turn, when guns is being pulled out on people or people are threatening people, one of the brothers got shot in his head. And because I called for the meeting to have with the brother, and he got shot very shortly after the meeting. Of course, I was blamed for the shooting.
Okay.
So I got locked up for it.
This was during your gangbanging days, or this was afterwards?
I was still gangbanging, but I had 1 foot in, 1 foot out.
Yeah.
You know, because at that time, my teacher's the one that actually funded the teardrop to get off my eye. Like, he funded the laser surgery.
Oh, okay. So you had a teardrop where?
Right here. On my
right there.
eye. So he actually funded the laser surgery for it to be taken off. And, you know, for me to be a leader, he was like, yo, come on. You know what you're doing. So I was still gangbanging, but I was more growing into the consciousness than the gangship. And then trying to find a way to communicate to my brothers that pretty much raised me in gang culture since I was young, like in my 13-year-old age, up until that time, like, yo, you know, coming to this consciousness, this guy is like phenomenal. So it's just a lot of conflict, man. There's a lot of conflict even in conscious communities and organizations, because everybody's trying to find themselves and establish their identity. And en route, we still have ghetto mannerisms and bad habits that in turn create more contention within ourselves than the people outside of us. And if we're not right inside, it's not going to be right outside. So all that kind of chaos was transpiring en route to more knowledge. You know, I just thought everybody was going to be perfect and righteous. I had no idea over time that we still would have some of the same character flaws inside of great organizations that we were confronted with outside of great organizations.
So you get charged with attempted murder.
Yeah.
It goes to trial, or did they drop the charges?
I've never signed so much restraining orders in prison in my life, especially from people that was threatening me. You know, I thought that was, you know, I'm finding out the real names of people who had these gangster names that were threatening me when I was free. And now there was a bunch of restraining orders. That was a very new experience for me, because this time I had problems with like people who are conscious. I had problems with people in the street. Stuff that I went through with conscious people was very interesting. So I'm locked up there. I wound up being released. I was locked up September 19th or something to that effect. But I wound up being released for that one, October 31st, Halloween. I didn't know I was going to be released. The brother refused to testify that got shot,
oh,
so I heard.
He didn't get killed?
No, he just had a chunk of his body. I was locked up for dismemberment. First they locked me up for murder, then they changed it to attempted murder. You know, first they said he was dead, so I was in prison, so the word was he was dead, so I didn't know. And then they changed my case to attempted murder, which gave me more potential time than actual murder. Yeah, crazy.
Yeah.
I actually was threatened with more time in prison for attempted murder than murder. So dismemberment and all sorts of other stuff. But needless to say, they tried to subpoena a lot of people. A lot of people wouldn't tell or speak on the event. And I just think it's a blessing because, you know, I'd say for the record, I'm innocent. You know what I'm saying? And it's a blessing because I already said I wasn't going to wind up in these kind of situations again. And I wind up in these situations again. And this time I was conscious. So I just knew I wasn't going to get into no more problems. And here I go again into the issue. So once this situation rolled over, and like I said, I got freed on October 31st. Once this situation rolled over, I really decided I had to separate myself a little more from the gangs, just to find myself before I could come back and communicate with them. Because a lot of that energy precipitated because of the company I was keeping while en route to learning.
Yeah. What made you really change your life from gang banging to trying to live positively?
My first wife. Aminette Atumre, she visited me in prison. I was in Rikers Island at the time. And we just had this baby girl. That was the promise. She was like, look, you gotta chill out, you know?
This was your first child?
My first child, Ma'at Hotep Atumre. So I'm in prison. This is so demeaning.
Okay, and this is a different case you're in prison for?
Yeah.
Okay, and what was this case for?
It was for murder. I was being accused of murder.
Okay, so.
Yeah, I just was living a wild life.
Okay,
at the
and
time.
what exactly was the situation around that case?
Oh, I had a lot of, it was a lot of gang contentions in Brooklyn. I had beef with people across the street from me in Brooklyn. So I'm on Rockaway Parkway between Winthrop and Rutland, and I have a shootout going on between the people across the street, my neighbors, in my street. So anybody that's in Brownsville at that time, 90s, or Rockaway Parkway in the 90s, everybody knows about it. And so there was a shootout between people on my side of the street and people on the other side of the street. And of course I'm implicated because I'm just known. So I was implicated in that as well. And so I'm locked up, and my wife comes in with my daughter, Ma'at. She's like a baby. And my daughter hugs me. She's never hugged no one before. She's a baby. So
yeah.
Her first gesture to hug somebody happened in prison, and it was me, her father. Mm-hmm. And that's when I started hitting the holy books, right? I'm like, yo, send me my prayer book. I got to come up with something. Everything was out of my power, right? I don't have the same interpolation of God that many people have. Nonetheless, I knew I had to confide in something outside of myself that is also a part of me to connect with. So I asked her to get me this gold book that the master teacher had wrote. And I said, I'm gonna commit these prayers to memory, the ones that resonate with me most, that correspond with this moment. And I just prayed and I just prayed and I just prayed, you know, connected with the universe. And I said, man, if the first step is me getting out, but I said, I'll listen to whatever comes my way. You know, I'll listen. I don't know what it is. So I wound up coming home. And what happened was, my wife, when I came home, she said, I want you to quit hustling. I'm like, okay, how are we gonna do that? Because I've managed to get a house. You know, nothing's in my name. You know, I'm riding dirty. You know, I got cars, I ain't got no license. I'm making it happen though, I'm feeling myself.
Right.
So I done dropped out of school already. I dropped out 10th grade. And I'm like, how you expect me to keep up everything I got going on? Well, she said, I got 2 jobs for you while you was in prison. 1 check is for you and 1 check is for me. And it obviously it's not gonna amount to what you used to making in the streets. Now, my wife at this time meant a lot to me because she was extremely ghetto, extremely. So I can't have a conversation with her about her raising her voice, using vulgarity, or even inflicting injury to me, right? So for her to arrive at this particular point in her life, where this ratchet sister would decide that I'm willing to work 2 jobs, this paranoid sister, this sister who thinks I'm cheating left and right all the time, for her to decide that she's willing to divulge her time or invest her energy into 2 jobs and give me 1 check until I find myself. And if need be, she'll give me some of the other check. It's a true story. I was elated and flabbergasted all at the same time. And so I said, I'm gonna give it a trial run because you're gonna turn on me eventually. I know it. But I'll fall back. If you keep working those 2 jobs and giving me 1 check, I'm gonna find my way. I'll do it. So I made that deal with her. And you know, I snuck a couple times and still sold some crack. I mean, I was making weight at that particular time, so people can cop the work from me as well. So I reduced myself to trying to sell a little crack on the side because I still had stuff left. At least I wanted to get that off before I completely stopped.
Yeah.
So, And I mean, she yelled at me, she caught me a couple times, but I ran out and I didn't re-up. And so 6 month stretch, all I did was read the books she kept buying me. And she just kept feeding me books for 6 months straight. I barely went outside. I went and cut my fingernails. I started growing my hair. And people was like, yo, you letting yourself go. What happened? You falling off. I wasn't into the clothes no more. I was just trying to find myself because I promised her this is what I was going to do in my life.
Well, you guys have a baby now.
Yeah, we have a baby.
So the focus of your life is now completely different for the both of you.
That's a fact.
Yeah.
And I changed. That's how I got conscious.
Yeah.
When I saw that she saw something in me that I didn't see in myself, it scared me. And I realized I had to find a way to access what she saw in me